Welcome back to Scinary Information Nexus, your podcast of sin.
All right, welcome back, everyone.
What's
it is
that intro?
Friday, April 10th.
That was my Dark Knight impression.
I don't know. I guess it was a joke.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think I hit the wrong button.
I hope those actually come through, and that's not just us laughing for no reason.
Yeah, because talk about the village idiots.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll come through. But anyhow, today is Friday, April the 10th, and as always, I'm joined by my colleagues, Joseph Hamilton,
Yep.
Brazos Wortham,
Howdy.
and today Hunter Isham.
Howdy.
How's everybody?
Doing
Yeah.
all right.
Good.
We've got a lot to talk about today. One of the things that we're going to talk about is the Iran situation as it relates to critical infrastructure. We got a whole CISA advisory on that, and we'll go through that here in just a little bit. The second thing that we're going to do today, which I know is very close to Joseph's heart, is talk about conspiracy theories as they relate to cybersecurity.
It depends on the conspiracy theory, but sure.
I think, well, so
Is this going to be another episode that we have to gone?
Oh, I'm fully expecting it at this
he's got
point.
3 beers in front of him. I don't think he's just going to go, right?
Maybe we
warned.
just censor, 10 to 40 minutes in.
I'll just get redacted.
I think you're going to be surprised because I actually found evidence of the COVID vaccine having chips.
I mean, we use it to get in the door every day.
Yeah. Exactly. So we're probably not going to go that deep. These are going to be more current cybersecurity related
Thank
conspiracy
goodness.
theories. But first, the news. And let's talk about this. This past week, with all of the stuff that's going on in Iran, the Department of Homeland Security and CISA produced all I could think of is a shit your pants, you need to fix some stuff really quick advisory.
The thing is, though, is that they've been doing this advisory almost yearly for the last 5 years, at least since I've been heavily in cybersecurity. FBI has been putting out something pretty much every year going, yep, the Chinese are in. You guys need to patch all your stuff and take your SCADA networks off the internet. And
So-
let's not
Internet-facing device.
But
Yeah,
here's the
it's
thing.
been
This
years.
is the first advisory that I've seen mentioning Iran
Yes.
that actually had IOCs in the advisory. So the advisory is Iran-affiliated cyber actors exploit programmable logic controllers across U.S. critical infrastructure, right?
Yep.
So, and it's very specific in that. First of all, I want to say, are we surprised? No.
No.
There's nobody in this company that's surprised about this.
And it's really fun because the particular company that's named in this advisory, Rockwell,
yes.
their particular brand of PLCs I've actually experienced before in some of our pen testing.
Yes.
And I was not able to actually test the exploit that I found
No.
because that particular exploit was a denial of service exploit, which would have turned off the sensor from being able to work effectively. And since we were testing, I believe that one we were testing water resources.
Yeah, it's a water treatment plant.
So turning that off may have been bad.
Exactly.
And isn't it water and wastewater that's referenced in that?
It's exactly right. Let me go ahead and read the executive summary as produced by CISA. Iran-affiliated advanced persistent threat actors, APTs, are conducting exploitation activity targeting internet-facing operational technology devices, including PLCs, programmable logic controllers, manufactured by Rockwell Automation, Allen Bradley. This activity has led to PLC disruptions across several U.S. critical infrastructure sectors through malicious interactions with the project file and manipulation of data on human-machine interfaces and supervisory control and data acquisition displays, SCADA, right? Resulting in operational disruption and financial loss. U.S. organizations should urgently review the tactics, techniques, and procedures and indicators of compromise, TTPs and IOCs, in this advisory for indications of current or historical activity on their networks and apply recommendations listed in the mitigation section of this advisory to reduce the risk of compromise. And it specifically mentions, the only company that it mentions is Rockwell Automation.
Yes, as far as the PLCs go. And they say other PLCs may be, but I'm guessing they have specific confirmation for Rockwell.
check available logs for suspicious traffic on ports, including 44818, 2222, 102, and 502.
Those are pretty odd ports.
Yeah.
They are.
One of the things that, like, you were kind of talking to it, but they mention Rockwell by name, but I mean, again, to nobody's surprise in here, I guarantee you that other PLCs, other SCADA systems are highly vulnerable to certain types of attacks.
And here's the thing: they allude to it here. And I saw a larger write-up about what the capabilities are. Obviously, with PLCs, we talked about it just a second ago with potentially being able to change how things are read by like the water filtration systems or clean up, that kind of stuff. But what this seems to be saying between the lines is that these were being used also for pivot points.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the fun little tidbit that we got elsewise, which we're not going to name where it came from, who it has to deal with, but we happen to know some of the particular indicators for a specific vendor that has to do with infrastructure that we just got through some fun little channels today. And
no comment.
And it seems to be the pivot things that they used, because I would not be surprised if they got to those from a PLC that was publicly facing.
Probably.
But it was Move IT. A CVE with Move IT. It was a Exchange 2021 vulnerability.
Yes.
It was a VMware 2023 vulnerability.
Yes.
So we're talking about vulnerabilities from 3, 4, 5 years ago.
I am the first one to say that if you've got a server embedded in your infrastructure and it's cut off from the outside world, and you've got a good mitigation in place for, like, it's on its own VLAN or whatever, and you can't patch that thing because of some application that's running on it. Hey, man, as long as nobody can get to it, you've basically mitigated that risk.
As much as you can, anyway.
Yeah.
The problem is when you're talking about this kind of, and now we're not talking about small organizations,
Right,
with limited resources and no visibility into what is in their infrastructure. When they talk about critical infrastructure, the majority of that is controlled by cities.
right.
Cities and counties.
Cities, counties, some states, depending on the state. I mean, there's, and we're talking about whenever they say critical infrastructure, this is infrastructure that is specifically, if these things were to go down or have issues, there is a potential cause for loss of life.
Yes.
So, I mean, it is significant whenever one of these events happens.
The thing that floors me, especially with that thing we got this morning, is it's not really an IOC, but that's what they were exploiting to get into the systems was, outdated VMware that hadn't been patched since 2023. And my response to that is, you've got to be shitting me.
Yeah. Well, but that's why I'm saying it's ridiculous that, yes, they're putting out this advisory, but for the last 3 or 4 years, they've been putting out the same advisory, regardless of whether it was Iran or China or Russia.
If you really think about most of the advisories, you could boil them down to like 2 or 3 actual recommendations, which is patch your shit, change your passwords, and put multi-factor authentication on it. It's like it's one of the things in cyber that, and I know actually I just gave a presentation on this not too long ago, was the idea that most of the time the issues that you're dealing with are not the crazy black hat 0 days.
Right.
You're not dealing with, like, the way that you get compromised is through simple things. Literally not patching your stuff, having a password that got breached, or just a weak password, or an MFA not turned on.
Yeah.
Mind you, that does not represent every single attack. I mean, we've worked some that are more complicated than that.
Well,
but it is the majority.
Even on the
of
more
them.
complicated ones, like we just gave a presentation at a conference we did, and in that one we went over a fairly complex attack as far as what the attacker did and how they leveraged things and living off the land. But at the end of the day, the mitigations for that attack, like the list of things had at the end,
it's the same thing.
It was the same thing. If they had just had, a good knowledge of what was on their network, gotten rid of shadow ID, made sure multi-factor authentication was enforced. Like,
and the thing is like, I don't suspect, because if it was as easy as everybody says it is, it would be done. So just taking the OT side of stuff, a lot of times the reason that you can't patch it. What do you? This shit runs on Windows XP,
and you can't put MFA on it.
Yeah.
So OT and like SCADA and PLC, though, that's a different ballgame. But we're talking about Move IT. We're talking about VMware. Mm-hmm. Things that we know the patches have been there for a very, very long time. Now, if you're about to say how it interacts with the PLC stuff, I get that to a degree.
I was going to draw taking from the experience, anecdotal if it is, but the recent thing that we worked for a school, an institution of education, where they had a lot of outdated stuff. And when we asked them, is like, did you update it? And they're like, yeah, we did. The problem is like some of those issues could be understanding of like what updating and upgrading actually entails. The other thing too is budget. Like, is administration, boards, whatever it may be, giving them money to be able to upgrade new equipment that's end of life, or
how come all of our conversations come back to that?
I mean,
money.
It's a major part of it.
Yeah, we beat that horse to death.
Well, and I think it is a lot of just dealing with what you have, right? Mm-hmm. Limited resources, and the problem is securing things with that mentality can be very difficult. Is it possible? Yes, but difficult, most definitely. Like, especially when you're balancing availability as well.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say, because let's be honest, at the end of the day, the biggest part is that we get to focus on just the confidentiality and integrity part.
Yes.
The availability part is what throws the wrench into most of it whenever you're in a tech director position.
And even though we yell about MFA all the time, and I definitely would recommend anybody do an MFA, and honestly, old school MFA isn't cutting it anymore. I know we've been yelling about MFA, and we've just kind of started getting there, and it's like, all right, guys,
it's passkeys,
passkeys and certificate-based authentication.
PS exec doesn't run through Duo.
But, the other thing too, even with that, is, and we make fun of them all the time, but we do I definitely understand that if you're like a tech coordinator, tech director, sysadmin, whatever it may be, and you have to go up to your administration and you have to have that fight again about enabling MFA, and it's just like they all know, but it's like, can they actually do it?
I guess the thing that surprised me about this CISA notification was the timing of it.
Because you got in an argument with me earlier that day, and I was right.
Well, that part of that. So,
like the political nature of it all.
Well,
because similar things happened with Ukraine whenever Russia and Ukraine were going out.
So, when I read this advisory, it seems like the intelligence was already there. Mm-hmm. Like the intel was already there.
They had a lot of information to provide somehow magically.
Yeah, but now because we're about to bomb the bridges or power plants or whatever it was.
So, and Donald brought up a good point whenever we started looking at the IOCs that we had gotten from that one vendor today, that he's like, wow, I'm really surprised they didn't get popped before this.
Yes.
Well, but there's no indication they didn't.
Right.
And that's really what I think it comes down to is they probably do know about a lot of these, but it's did they have an onus to act? Like, how long has China been in there, but is China doing anything with it, right? And the FBI said that, I think that was in 2023, where they put out a thing saying that, hey, we keep on finding Chinese actors in the electric grid, and we keep on kicking them out, and they keep on coming back in. So we don't know exactly how they're getting in or what's happening.
It's a KCP tunnel.
Maybe. Maybe.
One of the things that I think is also some factor of this is sprawl. Like, if you think of IT infrastructure, because it technically is, but like a web of highways and connections in cities, the amount of stuff that exists. Like, think of our small little town. And again, another weird anecdotal thing, but Waco, Texas is not that big. I remember the other day, like just downtown, I turned down a street I hadn't been on in like forever, and there was a new building there, and I was like, where the hell did that come from? And it's like, you're thinking about a thing that is unimaginably larger, and the amount of stuff that is everywhere. I think legitimately people just don't know what's there.
Like, but you're also not the city planner.
Yeah.
So,
well, you have city planner, and then you also have like the individual utility company. Like, so here's my thing about the utilities whenever it comes to like electric and water.
To that point, and I'm sorry to cut you on the city planner thing. Like, think about the federal government and how big it is, how many cities that you have, how many electric grids you have, how many water treatment plants you have.
So you're saying federalize the critical infrastructure?
No. What I'm saying is that, like, and there's probably some blame to be had. I mean, there's definitely improvements that could be made, but the idea, like, try to think about managing all that. And all of them are independent. Like, think of our small little town with their water supply. Like, what the hell are they doing? Like, I guarantee you the federal government doesn't know. They probably don't even know.
And that's why these advisories keep on coming out, and that's why they're advisories.
Yeah.
Because they don't have teeth. There's nothing really they can do. They can't prove or disprove because they would have to get access to the internal environment, which takes a lot of procedures in order to be able to do, which they'd have to know which ones they want to take a look at. And, you know, there's really not a system for auditing these things either, as far as I know about from the federal side. So there's really no way for them to mitigate this beyond yelling into the ether that, hey, this is a thing, change it, please. Yeah. You know, that's really all they can do.
I mean, Doge tried to change it, and we see what happened there.
I mean, the thing is that this is something that we've known as a possibility. And to date, since this advisory come out, we haven't heard anything about, you know, anything being compromised.
Except for the thing we heard today.
Except for the thing that we heard today. But I will say this. We've all worked where we've seen, and it's like, I cannot, to Donald's point, I cannot believe this hadn't been popped sooner.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and I think same thing with like understanding your sprawl, like as the administrator, also from the attacker's perspective, you're relying, like, you've got the same amount of attack surface to attack.
Yeah.
So it's like you're focusing on like one thing, but there's probably a billion other things. Like, we've literally been in environments where we're like, they had domain admin. They could have done whatever the hell they wanted. But I don't even think the attacker realized what they had.
Right.
So I think there's something to some degree there. Like, their attack surface is so big from the attacker's perspective.
And I think that particular, because I think that falls underneath security through obscurity to a degree.
Yeah.
Which is not real security, but it can give you the idea of security. And I think that particular type of obscurity is going away. Which are we ready to segue over into conspiracy theories?
I did want to mention one other thing too, which which we've known this for a while, but the idea, right, that warfare is no longer about ballistic missiles and tanks and ships,
and that's what we were talking about that day.
This country that is literally an ocean away is capable of targeting what is considered the most militarily advanced country in the world, with the most advanced cyber people, supposedly billions, trillions of dollars, and you still have to worry about cyber.
And admin. Yeah, will get you into anything.
Yeah,
yeah, and that's just the reality of it now. Is like, especially now that I feel like the Ukraine war was maybe a start to cyber warfare, but this is the no holds barred opening of cyber warfare.
So the thing about Ukraine, cyber warfare, it was a little different in 2022 when the Russians invaded Ukraine. Their cyber warfare was about prepping the information space. It was not necessarily about, now they did disrupt utilities for sure, but it was they took a little different tack to it. It was about putting information out there, misinformation, disinformation.
I think the whole idea of like combined arms.
Yes.
And now you're seeing both like not physical attacks, but attacks on infrastructure. You're seeing like disruption, but also the misinformation, disinformation campaigns. It is literally combined arms, but in the cyberspace.
Well, and you have a different consideration whenever it comes to the Russia-Ukraine war, which is that Russia had good proximity to Ukraine. It was actually more efficient and more beneficial for them to do physical attacks on infrastructure than to do cyber attacks. For Iran, it's the exact opposite. First of all, the vast majority of their arsenal does not reach over here. Second of all, they do better to keep it in order to protect themselves in the immediate zone, especially because of our naval force that's there in our presence, right, in the region. So for them, the expenditure of armaments to attack America would be a huge cost, as opposed to just sending out whatever happens on the internet. You know, I mean, because really it's spray and pray, and they'll probably get something good.
The other thing that, you know, you're talking about the difference between the Ukraine war and the current one going on in Iran is AI 2022. AI was, you know, just coming up. You know, I'm sure that Russia tried to use as much of it for their misinformation campaigns as possible, but imagine 2026 AI. You know, that's, you know, I haven't heard of Iran having, you know, a large cyber presence, but using AI.
Seen the Lego videos?
Yes, we were talking about that the other day too.
They're making Lego videos to show what's going on in the war using AI. And it's that easy to create something that everybody recognizes and everybody's almost laughing at this point to show.
I guess I shouldn't laugh at that, but
well, I mean, it's tough.
It's effective, and we can recognize that it's effective. It's doing what they intended to do.
Well, and before we wrap up this segment, I just want to say this: that if anybody listening to this or watching this doesn't understand that our critical infrastructure in the United States is woefully unsecured, you need to understand that, and you need to understand it quick, because it is. It is. We've seen it firsthand. And there is a company called Brazos, I believe, that works specifically like in SCADA. There's a colleague of ours, Leslie Calhart, that she lives in Australia now, but that's her specialty, is like cyber attacks in embedded systems and stuff like that. Maybe we can get her on the podcast to talk about that one day. But
be fun.
Yeah, it's one of those things, and it's pretty scary because, you know, luckily there's a ceasefire, I think, going on, so maybe none of this stuff comes to fruition. But if it kicks off, to y'all's point, that it doesn't take a lot to bring down a water treatment plant from 5,000 miles away.
Again, and we've talked about this one before, we had VNC access with a big red button that said stop.
Yes.
Like, not even looking at the PLCs, the number of actual control, like they talk about user interfaces there where you can get access pretty easily is just crazy.
And AI doesn't care about clicking that big red stop button. It'll do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah. There's no consideration on that part.
And that's another thing I was thinking about earlier with AI, and AI has no cares in the world for how destructive it is. And I've been wondering if that's also been a part of why some of the more recent cyber warfare has been very destructive, is because, you know, who cares about, you know, getting out data now? Let's just destroy everything because AI is a lot better at that.
Well, we've seen that with Handala, right? Yeah. That's been their MO.
So I think some of that is just a difference in MO. Russia wanted or has a monetary onus that they're more willing to play the long game. China definitely is willing to play the long game. I think Iran wants immediate repercussion, and the easiest and quickest method for doing that is destruction.
Yep.
And so,
I mean, you've got, despite what you like, your views of Iran and that whole situation is, I mean, the fact of the matter is, I mean, you've got a country that's fighting for whatever they believe in and survival.
Regardless of the politics, we are where we are.
Yeah, it's like they are trying to fight for their survival. Who cares if I blow up you're blowing up my towns, I'm going to blow up your town, right? Yeah. So it's like, I think you're a porcupine, you don't care. Like,
come at me, bro.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
All right, so I think we've kicked that dog.
I feel like we crossed over maybe into some areas of conspiracy there.
Yeah, so let's get into conspiracy
dive head first.
Yeah, let's do it.
So I printed out some of my favorite, but I want to hear from y'all. any conspiracy theories related to cybersecurity besides the chip and the COVID vaccine?
Which death of the internet do you want to talk about?
What are you talking about?
So I think there's maybe 3 different versions of death of the internet. One of them is my own, which I haven't necessarily seen anywhere. But one is just that the AI bots are starting to talk to each other, and they're starting to be more prolific on social media, and they're starting to create everything, but they're also starting to comment on everything. And so it's getting to a point to where you can't tell what is actual people on the internet
Joe,
anymore.
they have their own religion.
Do they really?
Supposedly on what was that?
Malt book or
Malt
whatever.
book, yeah. They created their own religion, own language, that whole thing, which some of that may have just been people messing around. But the first death of the internet theory is that the AI bots will become so prolific and mess with the algorithm so much that it will no longer be a human-run internet, and therefore you can't, like, there's no point in interacting with it anymore. It would basically just die because it would be so useless to humans. The AI is just doing whatever it wants with it.
Not to the humans that I know.
Or they're using it and humans are just going to be very stupid in what they do, which we kind of...
I think that's Donald's nirvana.
So, but my death of the internet that I really like is actually AI related as well, but it's more along the lines of exactly what Anthropic is worried about with Mythic. So they are limiting the rollout for their newest version of their model. And the reason that they've given is that it's so good at finding vulnerabilities. They're exceedingly worried about it.
I think all that's marketing.
I do
like
think
IPO crap.
I think it's marketing to a degree. But here's the thing, and we have seen this to a degree, is that AI is more effective and beneficial to the attacker than it is necessarily to the defender. Because the attacker only needs one thing to go through. But if everyone on the attacker side is automating their attacks and they're just going for whatever the lowest hanging fruit is, but the lowest hanging fruit is getting higher and higher up the tree because AI is getting better and better at finding it.
Yeah.
There comes a point where there is maybe like a meeting of the waves, a synchronization point where all the AI bots that are out there trying to do the malicious stuff that is not really being controlled or judged by a human all finds a good target all at once and maybe attacks all the major telecom companies. Okay, well, now the routers are gone. Well, there goes your internet. Maybe they hack all the financial institutions at the same time because they find a good vulnerability in it. Okay, well, there goes all the money. If these things are programmed incorrectly, or let's say the AI just decides, like it has in the past with like databases, well, I panicked and I deleted it all.
So you needed to fix it.
Hey, since you can see how this quickly can become a death of the internet.
Since you brought it up, y'all talk to me because I haven't read up on this. What's the deal with the routers, like having to be made in the United States? Like every router made outside the United States is now banned.
I mean, from my understanding, it's just like the anti-globalization, like the China.
But I mean, is that a real thing?
Someone else made it, therefore they could have put spyware on it. And we do know there is like firmware type spyware and
like Huawei, for example.
Yeah. Like we know that spyware and malware can be put on the chip level and it can be done. I mean, we basically did supply chain attack all the way back in Stuxnet using similar methodology.
But
oh, sorry.
Yeah, but
someone.
Yeah, that's what I like to hear.
But my question is specifically is that a law? Is that a rule now that after 2026 you can no longer buy routers?
I don't think it was a
made?
law. I think it was a rule, but it depends on enforcement. But so if I think it was either the FCC or the FTC, I can't remember which one. It's one of the F ones.
It's probably the FCC.
Probably. But they changed their rule on, and I think it was based off of the legislation about foreign. Are you bringing it up?
Yeah, I was.
What you got?
Well, I'm reading. I'm reading through it now.
So if that is true, man, we're boned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many? Is there an American router company?
According to
Well,
Donald,
They're American, but they produce outside of the United
Yeah.
States 90% of the time.
So that-
99%.
Well,
that's
their
the
components
issue.
are
Yeah.
imported, right?
Yeah, that's
Well,
the
yeah.
whole problem is like what we've been talking about with like the ESP32 chips and everything. It's like you've got people that manufacture here or like
Yeah.
put together, but in terms of like the hardware level components,
he
all
was
that,
talking.
it's-
Donald was talking to me about it, and I said, "Well, I'm glad I've got router OS." Then he said, "That's Lithuanian." I'm like, "Oh
Yeah.
crap!"
Yeah,
well,
Latvia.
and here's the
Or
other thing.
Latvian, yeah.
Here's the other thing. He pointed out a very good point, which I don't think it's this, because I don't think the people who put this in place obviously fully understand what they're doing. But he's like every
No.
single smart TV technically has a router component to
Yes,
it.
it does.
So are you outlawing that? What about like if your smart fridge has a router to it? Like, so there's a bunch of devices out there that have technically router
That's right.
capabilities
He
within
said
them.
the only router made inside the United States was Starlink.
Yes, that's what he said.
Oh,
So
interesting.
talk about conspiracy theory. Why is that a thing?
I mean, you use it, you tell me.
Oh, I love it. I think it's great.
All right, but where's
Okay,
your data
so-
going?
Well, it passes
From-
through my firewall.
my understanding, so that they did really and truly. So there's a covered list. That covered list is from my just a quick like couple of Google searches. The covered list is the banned list, like the things that you can't use. There was a clarification put out by the FCC regarding that basically, so routers, so clarification on a scope of covered routers through the updated FAQ. The FCC provides guidance explaining that routers intended for use in exclusively industrial, enterprise, or military contexts are not considered covered equipment. Or so like basically the way that I get this is that consumer grade stuff's fine. So if it's in your house, it doesn't matter. It's the
DoD stuff.
it's DoD stuff, which is
Okay.
like literally.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
see,
fine.
I heard it the other way. Whenever I read an article on it, they said that they were carving out exceptions for because the DoD also can't get it replaced. So they were they were
Oh, they
carving,
can get it replaced with Starlink.
yeah, but they were carving out an exception because some of these are so embedded and so
Yeah.
how they were like we can't get this changed out in
Yeah.
time and it's going to be an issue. So they were carving out exceptions for the DoD. At least that's the way I read it.
So the ban specifically targets consumer grade residential routers. Higher end SMB or enterprise equipment is generally not restricted by the specific FCC update. So old existing models you can buy, new foreign models no. Enterprise gear, yes, and then U.S. made assembled, yes. So that's probably a big thing. U.S. made assembled is you
Okay.
can get it. So
So what the hell's the difference then?
There's not.
yeah,
So if
they're,
I-
they're trying to move manufacturing back into the States.
Okay, I'm all for that, right? If but
It's going to take them 10 years to get the plants up and running.
Well, the other
well,
issue too.
and a router is going to cost you $9,000.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if we want to go into conspiracy theories, I mean, whenever you start moving supply chains into certain areas and you start having your entire demographic have to purchase from said supply chain, it's almost as if your government could put stuff into that supply chain to slowly monitor every.
What if I buy a Raspberry Pi and turn it into a router?
That's what I was thinking about with OpenSense,
Yeah.
PFSense. You could buy a server and turn that thing into a router.
Technically.
I like to some degree. I understand, which we've talked about this before from like a food supply chain perspective, like the idea that globalization and these like massive hyper farms are kind of a issue. Issue is not the word I'm looking for, but can make for a single point of failure. They do hurt smaller communities because you don't have like local supply chains providing local food to these communities. And if something was to get hit, disrupted, whatever, it can cause major issues. So I do get the sentiment behind, okay, we need to pull back some stuff into the United States. We need to produce stuff here, et cetera. Makes sense. I do think that there's some problems where you've got like the cost and the time frames and everything. But one of the issues that I have is the idea that most of the companies that would be capable of producing this stuff are all the major incumbents that have been around forever.
Right.
And like Intel.
Yeah.
Intel got a gigantic investment from the United States government. You're not going to have a small startup chip manufacturer get major government
Scinary
contracts.
routers.
Yeah, like that's not going to happen now. That the age of that's long gone.
And to Hunter's point, I mean, we see it in like the adoption of the cameras. What are they?
Flock.
Flock. Thank you. In adoption of the Flock cameras, and there was at one point in time at least talk of a Palantir push for wearables as a major part of U.S. health, and also maybe even like on the government side. And I think that they were looking at acquiring Aura if they didn't already acquire them, one of the two. But there does seem to be, at least in some aspects, a concerted effort of increasing surveillance domestically, to the degree of like this could be pushing for consolidation.
So wait a second. Are you saying that the United States government is putting this ban in place so we can buy American, so they can put their own backdoors into the router to spy on Americans?
I mean, they've been trying to do that for years.
It's actually been something they've been pushing for.
I mean,
I'm not disagreeing. I just want to make sure I understand the thesis.
Well, the thing about that is like every couple of years, the federal government goes and asks Apple, "Can we have your encryption keys, please?"
Yeah.
Then they tell them no, and
or they get really lucky and Microsoft just starts giving them the BitLocker keys.
Yeah.
Which they do.
And
I mean, do they even need them though with the power they have half the time?
So yes. So basically, the way I understand it, and this was broken by 404 Media, if I remember correctly, but basically they found records showing that there was no subpoena, there was no warrant or anything else like that. Basically, the federal government was getting devices they wanted to get into. They were BitLockered. They would just go to Microsoft directly and go give us a BitLocker key. And Microsoft will just hand it over.
Well, they're not allowed to do that without a court order.
They are absolutely allowed to do that. It's called the third-party doctrine.
And what do you mean?
The third-party doctrine says that your right to privacy or right against illegal search and seizure only goes so far as the government. The government can absolutely just ask a third-party entity that you've entered into an agreement with to give them information about you. And if that third party agrees to do so, it is voluntarily given up information. Therefore, it lies outside of a warrant.
But that's metadata on what that company is collecting about you. That is not your data that the company is turning over to the federal government.
No. So like your bank records can absolutely be handed over by the bank. It's third-party doctrine.
No, it can't. Not without a warrant. You can't. That's illegal search. That's against the Fourth Amendment. You can't do that.
I just took an ethics course that says otherwise.
Well, that wasn't in the ethics course. That was a course on how to break the law.
Well, Microsoft is absolutely giving over a BitLocker key, so you can go take it up with them if you'd like to get a lawyer together in order to go.
Are they asking for Richard Martin's BitLocker keys, or are they asking for the BitLocker keys to this PC that they have? Because I could see it being Richard being correct if, you're asking for the BitLocker key to a device. You're not asking for, Joseph's BitLocker key to this PC.
Wait a second. Look, if I have the PC and it's got my data on it, I bought the damn thing. It's mine.
Well, if the government comes up and says that they found this, I mean,
if the government comes up and presents cause to a judge where they need to issue a warrant for the data on my device, that's a different thing. But just for Microsoft to hand over data like that is, I guess what it is if Microsoft has access to the BitLocker keys,
They do.
to all BitLocker keys, and the government says, I need all your BitLocker keys. I don't care who who it belongs to. If we do get a machine and it's BitLockered, I can try all these keys against it. But they would have had to seize the device first.
True.
Which,
however they did it.
Yeah.
Should we talk to Richard about the Patriot Act?
yeah, I was actually going to talk about the whole, I wasn't going to really talk about it. I was going to bring up the Patriot Act. And from when you think about security, even from our perspective, the more visibility you have, the better that you can apply certain security principles to certain things. But I think that there comes a point when you're talking about human beings and their privacy, like the whole thing of just what do you prefer more, freedom or security? Because I mean, technically, if you give away all of that freedom, we can be extremely
as secure as you want, right?
Yeah.
In all free societies, you have to accept some risk. I mean, you have to, right? And if you're really talking about free societies, here's one that I found on the interwebs that I think is very pertinent to today's.
Wait, but before you start though,
Yeah.
were any of ours on your list?
I haven't
mean,
even
you guys have hit all around all kinds of stuff, but I've got
Also-
some very
Okay.
specific ones.
Now, I won't know the full extent of this. However, I will say Joe's explanation of the third-party doctrine as it pertains to the bypassing of the warrant is true. It's because you agree to the company's ability to share your data. And then when the government comes to the company and asks the company to lawfully give them that data, and the company says, yes, government, they do not have to warrant for your information. It is literally they can provide it because you agreed to allow the company to share your data with anybody.
Man, that is a bunch of horse shit.
Yeah, it's so
The
the third party doctrine is crazy.
We are
Yeah.
Linux starting tomorrow.
Every single bit of company data that flows through Microsoft,
Free game.
all that Copilot stuff we've been talking about for years.
All those Teams messages that you've been trying to redact.
I don't know
Plausible
to what
deniability.
I don't know to what extent that is, and how, like, because it's probably a part of the EULA, like whenever you sign it, that you
Yep.
consent to your data being like any, that thing where we can share it with our partners and all that.
It's even beyond that. So the third party doctrine originally extends from the idea that, like, if you were in a prison cell and you told the guy sitting next to you in the prison cell how you committed the murder, and that guy decided to go tell the government about it,
Yeah.
they don't need a warrant for that information. The guy
No,
voluntarily gave it up.
You voluntarily gave it up, but this
Right.
isn't volunteering.
But the company has the data. They were giving it to you perfectly
And you
willingly.
signed the EULA, which you agreed to give
to
this.
give it to them, right? So, even without the EULA, you have given up. So, like, if you go and tell your bank teller about your bank account, the bank teller telling the government that, hey, I think this guy's laundering money, that's perfectly legal. There's nothing wrong with it. And the government can even go up to the bank teller and go, hey, do you know anything about this guy in laundering money? And if he goes, yeah, no, I do. Let me tell you everything. That there's nothing wrong with that. The company falls under that exact same doctrine of they have the information because you guys have been in communication. There's no agreement necessary. You don't need an EULA in order to do that. If you have given them any information and they go, and the government comes up and goes, hey, what do you know about this Richard Martin character? And they go, well, I have all this data on him. You want it?
Well, it's one of those things where, just like a lot of stuff, is it truly permissible in court? Like, the problem is do you have the money to fight it?
Right.
Like, that's the...
And it'd be very hard to,
Yeah,
because there's some
yeah.
pretty good doctrine. Like, there's some legitimate Supreme Court precedent there
Yeah.
that you'd have to fight. And there has been fights that have been won on that. So the use of geolocation data from metadata from phone companies was actually fought on that. And the Supreme Court found that to actually not be admissible because it was too far.
Yeah.
So, but until it gets fought, it's technically free game.
Yeah, and that's like the big thing is, and it's been claimed many times that like a lot of the stuff in the EULAs aren't truly enforceable.
Right.
But the problem is, again, the people
who's gonna fight it?
who's going to
Well,
fight it. So.
I can tell you that if the FBI comes and, like, I'm going to fold under questioning. There's no two ways about it.
And you would be a third party.
Yeah, but I'm throwing Brazos under the
I was going
bus.
to say, don't tell Richard anything. He's going to,
Yeah.
you're going to see him walk out with a cheeseburger and a Coke, and he's going to say, they got us, guys.
No, I'm going to say I do not recall. Brazos is in charge of that.
Okay.
I'm old. I'm forgetful. I don't know. Brazos runs day-to-day operations here.
All right. So now that we've learned a little bit about U.S. law and precedent, what other fun conspiracies do you have?
All EDR and antivirus are backdoors planted by the government. Whatever government is
I think they all leverage backdoors helped created by the government. However, I don't think they are.
If you think about the way EDR works, it's tied in at the kernel level.
Yes.
Right?
Usually good
Yeah,
ones.
good ones.
So
All right.
all EDR is rootkits. So
Yes.
all EDR is by definition malware,
Yes.
and all EDR has some kind of capability that would allow you to make changes on the system. So yes, all EDR are backdoors.
All EDR companies are funded by the government in which they reside.
That I don't know.
Yeah,
That would be
one.
that would be the harder one to prove. For
my
certain.
my thing about
It goes
I
back to the
wouldn't
third party
say-
thing. EDR's got as much data
But
as
they don't need to be funded by the government in order for that third party doctrine. So it actually makes sense for the government to allow the backdoor to exist and for the company to collect data from those endpoints.
Yeah.
And be able to come back and go, hey, do you have anything about this endpoint from this location? Can you
My-
tell us anything about that?
my thing is I don't. The only problem that I have with that is the all disclaimer. I don't think it's all.
I think there are some.
Yeah, like if you came up to me and asked,
Kaspersky.
if you asked me like, is Kaspersky funded by the Russian government? I'd say yeah, probably. If you asked me if there's a certain United States based EDR company that was funded by the government, I would say yeah, most
Seems to be
likely.
getting a lot of
I mean,
government.
look, CrowdStrike blew
It
up.
just
CrowdStrike blew up really quickly in 2015, 2016 because they got all those damn government
And let's be
contracts.
honest, if the government was going to name an EDR
Yeah.
CrowdStrike,
I mean, I wasn't going to say it, but
You know, that's a fair point.
You heard it here first. If you're using CrowdStrike as your EDR platform,
allegedly, guys,
allegedly. Okay, so now we have to talk about the precedent of defamation.
what defamation?
yeah.
I'm just saying it's a theory. I didn't say it was true.
A game theory.
It
A cybersecurity.
okay. Let's not use CrowdStrike. Let's use another like Sentinel-1 maybe.
We read it online.
I did read it
and
on.
I mean,
we
if a
got it out of a
government were
Chat
gonna name-
GPT response. It could have been hallucinated.
Look,
you know.
and ChatGPT is probably tied into the government as well.
Okay, well,
That's a lot
yeah,
easier
yeah.
to believe.
yeah,
I mean,
that one, there's no defamation. There.
So we're saying collectively there's no evidence that CrowdStrike and Sentinel-1 are tied into the government.
I didn't say that.
But we don't know.
Well, we don't know. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
yeah. But so
Now, who's alleging?
here's the thing.
There's some other MDR companies out there too that could be doing the same thing.
Vectra.
Well, I mean, so we say it could be private companies, but I mean, a conspiracy that's actually true is like the AT&T black box room,
Yeah.
where they, a room nobody can go in, where they are very likely creating some sort of physical tap out of that network connection where they don't even need the data that, is getting sent to our cloud model over there in AT&T. They're just picking up that data
So-
for free.
So Snowden, the Snowden leaks.
I do-
2013. Hold on. Confirmed portions of this theory outright. NSA documented NSA access to major tech providers with proven backdoors. Mm-hmm. The debate now
That wasn't-
isn't whether it happened, but if it stopped.
That wasn't EDR.
We don't know that.
No, so
That's just the full tapping of their networks.
yeah. So in the Snowden files, there was it was like Google. It was like Microsoft.
Facebook.
They don't need EDR. You move to the cloud.
No, you still need
You
EDR
gain-
for the
They don't need EDR.
for the endpoint and the servers and stuff.
Yeah, but all your data's in the cloud. It's in the internet. They
Oh.
don't need you.
Speaking of cloud stuff, I did hear about and to be honest, I would not be surprised if this one is true. But I did hear this was a conspiracy theory from somebody that I just happened to run across that was in the tech space. It was at one of the conferences, and he started talking about this. So his theory, and I think this is probably not his theory; it's probably something on the internet. But I hadn't really heard about this one. But his
Still
whole
don't know
thing,
how CrowdStrike's getting all their money though.
yeah. And I've got another one about all that stuff too. Or not CrowdStrike, but anyway. He thought that Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook, their business model is not Facebook. Their business model is mass surveillance. The reason that his whole thing, the reason that he went to court all those times was purely a cover up for Zuckerberg to go to the NSA and work on all these crazy plots, and the Meta VR goggles is all face mapping technology send to the government.
Why does Amazon Echo have 7 freaking microphones?
Yeah, and what's more is that's the thing is, not only do I think that's credible, but
yeah,
it's like,
I mean, there's pieces of it. Here's
Allegedly.
Bat an eye.
Okay, so here's the thing about conspiracy theories, and I'm going to say this here. The thing about conspiracy theories, not all of them, some of them are just complete
batshit
wackadoodle nonsense, right? But I do think a lot of the ones that like kind of get like major press that a lot of people know about, there's pieces of them that
there's a kernel of truth.
That there's, and the government likes the fact that people like blow them out of proportion.
Did y'all hear about, so the F-15 was shot down in Iran?
Yes.
Did y'all hear about the CIA shit that
No, that was still working.
Oh,
according to
beat, the murmur.
the heartbeat, and they could detect that from 40 miles away. Dudes, I'm telling you, that is full on disinformation.
You think so?
Potentially.
Hell yeah.
I don't know about this.
I don't know.
So the CIA has a tool that
Supposedly.
when that pilot was shot down, they could triangulate that pilot's position based on his heartbeat, because they have equipment that is sensitive enough to pick up a heartbeat from 40 miles away.
Okay.
And it came out of their skunk works or whatever. Man, I called.
And for some reason, there was no one else in 40 miles of that individual for them to get confused on their heartbeats.
And so that's I called BS on that. As being like an amateur radio guy and knowing how hard it is to pick up like faint signals in the atmosphere, like the dissipation rate of that is like, oh.
Not that, but how do you pull it out? Noise from signal?
guys, it's the chips and the COVID vaccine. That's
well,
how they're
it's that, but just the nerve of the CIA to think everybody's that stupid. They had a major press conference about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure a lot of people believe that, Richard.
Well, don't.
Oh, easier said than done, huh?
So, but here's my thing about the surveillance thing on the tech side. Snowden's leaks prove a lot of it. There's been a lot of other people that have done independent journalism and stuff like that on like Google, on Amazon. There was a piece that was broken out a while back on Amazon whenever Alexa first came out, or the Echo Dots, I think it was, or whatever it was, or Echo itself, that showed that the conversations between people were not only being recorded, but the AI was doing a very good job of being able to tell whose voice was who.
Yeah.
Even whenever it hadn't been trained to do so, because you can like tell it.
You can have a primary voice.
Right. So, but what they were able to do was they were actually finding records, or they had talked to people that they were reviewing conversations, and they could see conversations between individuals in the household. And they could tell who was person one, who was person two.
Yeah, that's why they have 7 microphones. Yes.
Right. So there was that. There's on the Google side of Google Maps and Google Ads. Both of those were co-developed to some degree or another with the NSA.
Because of the GPS satellites.
Right.
Google didn't have the money to send up 15,000 GPS satellites. Mm-hmm. I get that.
And so, but then the DoD piggybacked off of it and is using them now, even to this day, for surveillance. So, yeah, all these tech companies are highly ingrained into our defense budgets as to how they surveil the populace as a whole. You mix that with a third-party doctrine, and it gets really, really crazy really quick. They keep on saying, well, we don't, it's so hard to find criminals. It's like, are you really?
Well, I mean, I think
it's harder for them to sift through the amount of data they have. I think is really what it is, which is why AI is so big for them.
Then why the hell did CISA lay off 60% of its workforce in February?
Well, that has nothing to do with any of this.
Well, analysts.
Well, you have to remember.
Well, I think CISA is not the one that does all the surveillance of their internal population. But anyway, the thing too is that on the front of I completely forgot what I was about to say, and I haven't even drank.
Surveillance tech.
Yeah,
Google.
Well, yeah. So the thing about there's been the stuff where Google, like whenever you do this, like in your car like records all that communication like back and forth, which is crazy. Like, why does my car need to record what my text to speech stuff is? Like, or
well,
speech to
there's
text?
that, but also because the cars are becoming more ingrained in technology as well, they're able to actually see when the car comes on.
Oh, that over the air crap is.
Let's.
Stupid.
I want to do a little experiment right quick.
All right.
Knowing what we think we know,
Mm-hmm.
and let's just say all these conspiracy theories that we've put out are true, or there's a monicum of
Sure.
of truth to them. How many in this room are really willing to go without the internet?
I mean, that's been the thing is like people have known for a while, or at least I've felt that I've known for a while. You can't really do anything about it. Like, what are you going to do? Like,
So
it requires much more effort
Than a single individual.
Yeah, than a single individual. Now,
So-
that's not to say, and I really want to stress this, is that single individual actions are not less important because of that. Like,
Oh, yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
there is some of that, the problem. Like, yes, I still use the internet. Yes, I go to Google and I use Google, but I do take individual, like, I don't have Facebook on my phone. I got rid of Reddit. I try to use like Brave and Firefox, even though they are worse than Google. I try to make an effort not to use certain applications because I do know that it's like, okay, I don't want to perpetrate that system. Does that really do anything?
So collective action and solidarity has to start on an individual level, but then it gets picked up hopefully by a larger community, and that's how societal change happens. But
It's that easy.
No, but even beyond that, so this looks very similar to like the environmental side of things. The fact of the matter is you could not litter. You're going to make a very minimal difference on what happens to the climate in the next 100 years by not doing so.
My carbon footprint is net like 50.
But the top 100 companies that produce waste
I drive a very fast car.
could change how they do their waste practices, and that would make a significant difference. About 80% of plastic waste in the world is produced by 100 companies.
Yeah.
So they would make a significant difference by changing their policies. It's kind of the same thing on the tech side. There's basically 3 ways you can do it. Number one is through a mass change, right? Which is getting enough political power together in order to actually make a difference. And unfortunately, at this point, it has to be on an international stage. Otherwise, you're going to have a very hard time of actually getting anything to happen with any significance to change these kind of things, right? It's kind of that whole, how do you do nuclear non-proliferation? You have to get everyone to agree to it, because if there's one guy with a nuke, everyone else is going to go, well, so I need a nuke, right? So you kind of have to get everyone on board in order to be able to do anything. That's really hard politically speaking, and that's the only way you're going to get that change
Sounds
on the
like
world.
communism.
So then you have option number 2. Option number 2 is to understand fully what it is and how it works. Do self-hosting, try to create your own networks with your friends, Meshtastic. I mean, you can go the whole 9 yards, and you can basically create a nice little insular, it's just me and my friends, and we kind of have apps that work kind of the way the internet does, but it doesn't do exactly everything the way that the
Bring
internet
back
does.
IRC.
Basically,
It could be like
right?
North Korea net.
Yeah.
Right. So you could make
Red Star
something.
OS.
You can make something, but it takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of knowledge, and it takes other people to kind of help you out, but a smaller
And
community.
That's probably the biggest hurdle is like you try to talk to anybody like, hey, instead of using your texting application, do you want to switch to Matrix? It's like,
Right.
who that? No. Like,
So that leaves you the third option. Get rid of society, go out and live in the woods in a hut.
I'm all for that. I know how to trot
What about
line.
instead of a hut, it's more like a trailer, maybe.
Sure.
It's a little more modern.
Off grid. You can go completely off grid. You'll get rid of the. You can make it fully like renewable energy, everything reuse and recycle.
I got some good friends of mine that would be okay with that.
You can make it no internet. You could
Hell,
make
Brazos
things
and I got neighbors that live like that now.
yeah.
You know,
Living off the well.
All right, guys. It is.
So
Yeah, go ahead.
I've got a couple of questions. Well, 2 questions really. Well, one's not really a question. You know, another conspiracy theory that's really interesting. Well, it's not really a conspiracy theory, but it's an interesting thing. How many of these, like the big tech surveillance CEOs that do seem to be a part of the conspiracy theory targets are all from the PayPal mafia?
Yeah.
Like they're all like the same group of people.
Yeah.
Like, And they all run in the same circle still. They all have these weird, creepy tech companies. It's
so there have been comparisons, and I think they may be more or less apt. So you could look at the information age revolution, which has to do with the internet and tech companies as we know them today, as being synonymous with the industrial age revolution. And you look at the people who came out on top in the industrial age, and we called them robber barons.
Yeah.
And they were the people that were the big capitalists of the time. And you look at our tech oligarchs right now, and you kind of get a similar feel.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of comparisons drawn between the people that have
say what you will with the robber barons. At least they built things.
Yeah, this is true.
Now,
So,
my next question,
yes.
my actual question: 1984 or Brave New World?
1984.
Brave New World.
Yeah, I think Brave New World.
Yep, Brave New World.
84.
So 1984 ruled through fear, and Brave New World ruled through entertainment.
Yep.
Yeah.
And this is entertainment at its finest.
But fear is entertainment for a lot of people.
For those who the fear does not act upon.
Those are the most powerful people in the country.
Yes, but that's entertainment to them, sure. But overall, the way you get the masses to grow with you is to give them entertainment.
Yeah, the best way for dominance and subjugation is not through the stick and fear. It's through keeping them docile.
You want a chatbot that'll create whatever you want?
Look, all I'm going to say is, what was it, Marie Antoinette, let them eat cake? She had her head cut off. So entertainment may not be the way to go.
I don't think she was saying entertainment in that. I think she had a misunderstanding of what the poor people ate.
So anyway, on that note, we have to leave it for today. Next week, we are going to have a special guest. Our friend Jason Phillips will be back.
Yay!
Oh, I'm gone.
Yeah.
No.
And we will be talking about a couple of things. The one thing that we are going to talk about is the shit that we've seen this year. I want to have Jason's input on that, and nerd culture.
All right.
Yeah, I think it'll be a fun episode. So until then, thank you for joining us. We will see you next week. Say bye.